People are still living.
Living people that formerly work for the government.
And living people that were somehow involved in it, and you tend not to do that.
The rise of the Rogan interview. Joe Rogan's ascent from a stand-up comedian to a global media powerhouse is a story of transformation, adaptability, and an unrelenting commitment to authentic conversation. His podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience, JRE, launched in 2009, has grown from a niche audio experiment into a cultural juggernaut, amassing millions of listeners and reshaping how people engage with long-form content.
I've been watching professional lacrosse lately. Once I realized they could beat the fuck out of each other.
What began as casual chats with friends in his garage has evolved into a platform that attracts some of the most influential and polarizing figures of our time. Scientists like Neil deGrasse Tyson, entrepreneurs like Elon Musk, political figures like Bernie Sanders, and even controversial voices like Alex Jones. This diversity of guests, paired with Rogan's distinctive interview style, has turned the JRE into a phenomenon that transcends traditional media boundaries. Rogan's rise is not just a personal success story, it reflects broader shifts in how audiences consume information in the digital age. At a time when soundbites and sensational headlines dominate mainstream media, Rogan offers an alternative. Unfiltered, hours-long discussions that dive deep into topics ranging from the mundane to the profound. His interviews captivate millions because they feel raw and real. Qualities that have become scarce in an era of polished, tightly controlled narratives. By March 19, 2025, the JRE has solidified its place as one of the most influential platforms in the world, with its host at the helm of a new era of conversational media. Mastering the art of conversation. At the heart of Rogan's success is his mastery of conversation. Unlike traditional interviewers who rely on rigid formats, pre-scripted questions, and time constraints, Rogan takes a free-form approach that prioritizes authenticity over structure. He doesn't walk into an episode with a clipboard of talking points or a producer whispering in his ear. Instead, he starts with a simple greeting, "Hey man, how's it going?" and lets the discussion unfold organically. This lack of scripting is a deliberate choice, one that mirrors the casual, unpretentious vibe of a conversation between friends. This conversational style creates an atmosphere of openness and trust, which is key to why his interviews resonate so deeply. Guests, whether they're world-renowned experts or fringe thinkers, feel comfortable enough to let their guard down. Rogan's studio, dimly lit, cozy, and often filled with the clinking of whiskey glasses.
All right,
so
let's try number one.
Sample number one is 7 years and 9 months old.
Okay.
Reinforces this sense of intimacy. It's not a sterile newsroom or a high-pressure TV set. It's a space where people can speak their minds without the looming threat of interruption or judgment. This dynamic has allowed Rogan to extract insights and stories that might never surface in more conventional settings. Rogan's ability to listen is another cornerstone of his craft.
When we look at our civilization today, we are fantastic at technology. We are brilliant at science.
He gives his guests the floor, letting them finish their thoughts even when he disagrees or has a counterpoint ready. This patience is rare, in an age where interviewers often cut in to steer the narrative or score points. By stepping back, Rogan ensures that the conversation remains the star of the show, not his own ego. It's a subtle but powerful technique that keeps listeners hooked, as they're drawn into the natural rhythm of the exchange rather than a rehearsed performance. Unveiling the Rogan Method. What has come to be known as the Rogan Method is a unique blend of humor, curiosity, and open-mindedness that defines his interviewing style. Humor is a critical ingredient. Rogan isn't afraid to crack jokes, poke fun at himself, or tease his guests in a way that lightens the mood. This self-deprecating wit disarms even the most serious personalities, making them more relatable and human. For instance, during his interview with Elon Musk in 2018, Rogan's playful banter about smoking weed on air turned a potentially stiff exchange into a viral moment that showcased Musk's lighter side. Curiosity is the engine that drives the Rogan Method. Rogan approaches each guest with a learner's mindset, asking questions that range from the basic to the esoteric. He's not afraid to admit when he doesn't understand something, which invites his guests to elaborate and explore their ideas further. This genuine inquisitiveness often leads to deep dives into complex topics, whether it's Musk explaining the simulation hypothesis, neuroscientist Sam Harris unpacking consciousness, or biologist Brett Weinstein dissecting evolutionary theory. Rogan's willingness to go there transforms what could be dry discussions into gripping intellectual journeys. Open-mindedness is the final pillar of the method. Rogan doesn't shy away from controversial figures or ideas, giving a platform to voices that might be shunned elsewhere. While this has drawn criticism, particularly when he's hosted guests accused of spreading misinformation, it reflects his belief that people should hear all sides and decide for themselves. He challenges his guests when he sees fit, but he doesn't dictate the conversation's direction. This approach creates a rare space where ideas, no matter how unconventional, can be aired and debated without the filter of editorial gatekeepers. The impact of Rogan's style. The ripple effects of Rogan's interview style are profound, touching everything from public discourse to the broader media landscape. One of his most significant contributions is introducing diverse viewpoints to a massive audience. In an era of echo chambers and polarized media, the JRE stands out as a platform where listeners can encounter perspectives they might never seek out on their own. A single episode might feature a libertarian economist, followed by a progressive politician.
Mars and all these planets don't have life, because
Mars, we've had probes there and rovers, and I don't think there's any life there.
Forcing listeners to grapple with conflicting ideas in real time. This exposure fosters a more nuanced understanding of the world, even if it doesn't always lead to agreement. Rogan has also created a space where open dialogue thrives. By eschewing judgment and letting guests speak freely, he's built a model of communication that contrasts sharply with the combative, gotcha-style interviews of traditional TV. This has struck a chord with audiences tired of being talked at rather than talked with. The JRE's success, boasting millions of downloads per episode, proves there's a hunger for unscripted, honest exchanges that respect the listener's ability to think critically. Beyond its immediate audience, Rogan's style has inspired a new generation of content creators. Podcasters, YouTubers, and streamers have taken cues from his long-form format, conversational tone, and willingness to tackle big ideas. The rise of platforms like Rumble and the proliferation of independent media owe a debt to Rogan's trailblazing approach. He's shown that you don't need a network or a big budget to make an impact, just a microphone, a guest, and a willingness to let the conversation flow. This democratization of media has shifted power away from traditional gatekeepers, giving rise to a more decentralized and dynamic content ecosystem. The future of Rogan's influence. As of March 19, 2025, the Joe Rogan Experience shows no signs of slowing down. With a new $250 million deal from Spotify in 2024 that loosened its exclusivity, Rogan's reach is expanding across platforms like YouTube and Apple Podcasts, ensuring his voice remains a dominant force in the media landscape. His ability to adapt, moving from a garage setup to a sleek Austin studio, embracing new technologies, and navigating controversies, suggests that his influence will only grow in the years ahead. Looking forward, Rogan's interview style is poised to shape the future of entertainment and public discourse in several ways. First, his emphasis on long-form content could push other media to rethink their reliance on short, shallow formats. As listeners demand depth over brevity, we might see a broader shift toward extended conversations that prioritize substance over sensationalism. Second, his knack for engaging diverse perspectives could encourage a more inclusive approach to dialogue, even as it invites scrutiny over the balance between free speech and responsibility. Rogan's role as a cultural figure also makes him a lightning rod for debate. Critics argue that his platform amplifies fringe voices without enough pushback, citing episodes like his interview with Dr. Robert Malone, which fueled COVID-19 misinformation concerns. Supporters counter that his openness is a strength, not a flaw, and that censoring ideas, however questionable, stifles intellectual freedom. This tension will likely define his legacy, as future generations weigh the benefits of his unfiltered style against its risks. Ultimately, the impact of Rogan's approach will endure because it taps into something timeless: the human desire for connection and understanding. His interviews aren't just entertainment. They're a window into how people think, feel, and argue in a complex world. As technology evolves and attention spans shift, Rogan's ability to spark meaningful conversations will remain a benchmark for what media can achieve. Whether he's remembered as a provocateur, a pioneer, or both, one thing is clear: Joe Rogan has changed the game, and the echoes of his voice will resonate for years to come.